Okay, so one thing that I believe is very important to examine is the myths of capitalism, that even if for you individually may come true some of those capitalist dreams, you're still not going to be fulfilled. And of course, if you studied the history of capitalism for any length of time, this is not going to be news for you. But I experienced this firsthand. I actually wasn't a communist up until my early 30s. So I was majorly apolitical. So I really was afraid to delve into the world of politics and to delve into the philosophies, because I thought I was not smart enough, in all honesty. I thought that I wouldn't understand it, that my whole worldview would crumble, and I thought that I was living the independent life. And granted, I was very lucky in many regards. I had a good paying job that I enjoyed. I actually found a lot of fulfillment in. I was able to save up and travel pretty extensively. There were a few years where my husband and I were able to travel internationally twice a year for a prolonged period of time. We would be gone for a month or so, so we could afford to really travel and experience different countries. I could buy all the stuff that I wanted to, and this is when my shopping addiction really thrived and really became one of my major coping mechanisms and maladaptive defense mechanisms, because I could always get myself something new, some of this new shiny stuff, and I loved my things, and I will always have appreciation for craftsmanship and for unusual little things. It is just something that I had to come to terms with. I will always like stuff. However, no matter how happy my life was on the outside, I never felt safe. I never felt truly fulfilled, and I felt isolated, and I felt lonely, and I felt like something was wrong. And I went to the therapists, I paid the doctors to hear me out, and I got the fancy diagnoses, but I never felt myself, and I never felt like all of these individual solutions were helping me. So I would not necessarily say that I had a crisis, but I did end up becoming a little bit more curious after examining some of my own preconceived notions about myself. I ended up getting curious about the world around me, and I was like, what if I look into some of these philosophies that I'm kind of afraid of, that I've always been afraid of? And my husband has been an anarcho-communist throughout his life. He actually started off as a communist when he was younger, but then he progressed to become an anarcho-communist. He didn't read too much theory on his own, and whenever he tried to talk to me about it, I would just block these conversations off, saying that I was not going to get into it. It was too complicated. I could not bring myself to even listen to him, but we still had some conversations, right? He never was pushy about his ideology. He never tried to convince me. He gave me the space to actually discover all of these things myself. So once I watched a video about Karl Marx, his little biography, and I got really curious about this man's writing. So I did get this comic of The Capital, which I think is pretty decent. I haven't revisited it in many years, so I'm not exactly sure how accurate it is actually to the content of The Capital, but it did make sense to me. I examined it thoroughly, and I thought, that makes sense. That is very simple, actually. And then we did read the Communist Manifesto sometime before that, and I thought, wow, that actually makes total sense. Like, why was I afraid of this in the first place? And then slowly but steadily, I got myself introduced to other works by Engels, by Erich Fromm, who I know is not a pure Marxist, and there are a lot of things to criticize him for, but I really found him helpful, especially the book From the Chains of Illusion, or something along these lines. I'll put the cover up here so you can see the title. And when I read this book, I actually had my first major breakthrough, ideological breakthrough. I thought, wow. So yes, actually it is very convenient to demonize Marx or make Marxism toothless, because it is not serving the status quo. It is not serving the interests of the powers that be. So I started looking into more and more of these texts, and the more I saw, the more I realized that all my life I've actually been hiding from the truth, and the truth liberates me. And of course, I cannot be liberated individually. And all of these emotions and feelings and sensations that I experienced before, all of that fear, all of this sense of isolation, it started to make much more sense now. I could see that on an individual level, even if everything goes your way, everything is perfect and nice, and you travel, you see the world, you have everything you've ever desired, you still are not going to be fulfilled, because humans have more needs that are impossible to fulfill under systems of exploitation such as capitalism. So it all started making sense to me, and my life has become so much better after I've actually learned more about communism and Marxism. And I had opened the floodgates of the truth, and it keeps on pouring. The truth keeps on pouring, making my life easier, actually, because I do not strive so much anymore to own things, because I understand that my relationship to things reflect my deeper needs. I want to be in connection, in community with people, and the earth itself. I want to feel one with the world, because I am one with the world. It's not of my choosing. I'm born of this world. I cannot erase myself out of this world's history. Even if I'm a tiny little speck, it is still a speck that is a part of this world. So all of my longing for stuff always was to feel that void, that lack of community, that lack of connection and lack of cohesion. And now I do not have that deep void anymore. Of course, the remnants of all of these maladaptive coping mechanisms remain with me. I'm still struggling with my shopping addiction. It's day in, day out. It gets better sometimes. And on some days, I just feel so terribly sad about the state of the world. And I resort to scrolling stores, online stores on my phone, and always finding some little thing that feels like it's going to soothe me. And it never does. It never does. And I have exhausted this resource. I don't think it's bad per se to own little trinkets. I don't think it's bad per se to desire things. What we do have to look into is the underlying causes, because for the vast majority of us, I believe we do not crave stuff because we actually want stuff and we want to own everything because we're so greedy. No, I believe that we're trying to fill that void. We're trying to make ourselves feel safe, but true safety is only possible in true collectives, and true collectives are only possible when you examine the information about the world together concretely, when you butt heads and you argue and you come to the truth together and you actually do something with this truth. You act upon it. You don't just learn it and then it is stored in your head as if you're some kind of walking encyclopedia. No, when you act upon the truth, this is what is going to bring you as a human the most fulfillment. And I had experienced it firsthand on many occasions, and it is an amazing experience. Highly recommend getting together with the people who are like-minded and try to build a collective. It is going to be difficult. It is going to take time, and there are many obstacles that may be very hard to overcome, but it is very, very much worth it. And of course, we have to be building these collectives so that we can at least attempt to return the means of production, because this is the ultimate goal. Because without this, all of our successes and victories will be marginal. All of our individual successes will fade away, and we have to fight to create such conditions for all people so that nobody ever resorts to just buying stuff and just spending money on themselves to feel good. We're going to create such conditions where people are going to be able to work towards common goals, to work towards a better world for everyone, to discover new things about ourselves and the entire planet. And we're going to be able to do that pretty soon. I know it deep in my heart that we're going to start building socialism pretty soon. People are mobilizing all over the world. So join forces with people in your location. Stay strong, solidarity. I hope you have a great day today. Consider supporting me on Patreon. Do take care of yourself and your community first. Subscribe to me on all the social medias, even though I don't do much there. And I'll talk to you sometime later.